What's up, guys? Part-time Gamer Dad here, and we are back with our final official predictions for WrestleMania 40 Night 1 and Night 2. Now, you guys have been coming at me in the comments. You blew this video up. You love what you see. You hate what you see. You're asking a lot of questions. I'm going to address all of those questions. I'm going to give you my full final predictions for WrestleMania 40, including all of the new matches that have been announced, including what I think is going to happen in the ladder match, and yes, if Damian Priest is going to cash in Money in the Bank. Before we get into the video, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We are on the road to 2,100 subscribers before WrestleMania Night 1. And also make sure you comment down below your predictions for WrestleMania 40 Night 1 and Night 2. Now, a few days ago, WWE released the match cards for Night 1 and Night 2 of WrestleMania 40. And even though we may not know the particular order yet, it's safe to say Cody and Roman is going to be the Night 2 main event. Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth is going to be the Night 1 main event. So we'll end with those for each respective night. But all the other matches could kind of be a crapshoot. So let's utilize the list that we have online and get into the list. So for Night 1, we're going to start with Rhea Ripley, the defending champion, against Becky Lynch for the WWE Women's World Championship. I think this one, for me, is one of the easiest ones to pick. I have Rhea Ripley retaining over Becky Lynch in one hell of a match, very similar to her bout with Charlotte Flair last year at WrestleMania 39. I do think that this one will be a little bit more dominant and we will see a clean victory of Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch. I think that the momentum and the upward trajectory of Rhea Ripley right now, kind of being that unstoppable monster on Monday Night Raw, especially after defeating Nia Jax, home country of Australia, and also just seeing like the crowd reaction to Rhea Ripley and this news that Becky Lynch hasn't even re-signed. I think all signs are pointing towards a Rhea Ripley retain on this match, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Becky wins the belt. I just really don't think they're going to go that route this time around. Next up, another title match, one-on-one. Gunther, the Ring General, defending his IC belt, the Intercontinental Championship, against Sami Zayn. If you watched my last video, you know I'm not the biggest fan of this match, and I love Sami Zayn. But the story, and even the story they're telling now, guys, it's about Chad Gable. Chad Gable, he's supporting Sami Zayn. He's training him, getting him ready for this match. And I think it's not going to work out. I don't think that Gunther is going to lose this title. I know we're in Philadelphia. I think the whole idea of Rocky being part of the story and Rocky 2 being like in Philadelphia, I think that story is saved for Cody, even though they're kind of alluding to that story in the way that Chad is mentoring and coaching Sami Zayn. But I do think that Gunther retains. I think it'll be a hard-hitting match. I think that there will be a couple of close calls and false finishes where it will look like Sami's about to beat Gunther, but Gunther will just overpower. And at this point, I don't know if it's Chad Gable, quite honestly. I mean, you would think at this point that the record has been so surpassed. Why wouldn't Chad Gable be wrestling him? Is it because of the whole Brock Lesnar situation and getting changed, and so you go to your next biggest star? Or is it because they're saving somebody like Ilya Dragunov to be the one to take the title off of Gunther for the IC belt? Either way, I have Gunther retaining. Next up, we have the six-pack ladder match for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships. But hold on. That's not necessarily the case. If somebody pulls down the Raw Tag Team belts and somebody pulls down the SmackDown Tag Team belts, the belts can be separated. They announced that. Michael Cole announced it on WWE programming. And I originally thought about doing confidence points for this because I have a higher confidence point for one tag team titles going to somebody versus the other. But I decided not to do that because I'm not competing against anybody, and confidence points is really for competition. But I have the Raw Tag Team Championships being won by R-Truth. And The Miz, but it's R-Truth, right? Like, it has to be R-Truth pulling down the title. And for the SmackDown Tag Team belts, I don't know. We've heard reports that A-Town Down Under isn't going to be in the match. And so do you have a team like the Dudleys come back and participate in this six-pack ladder match because it's in Philadelphia? Or do the Hardys make that grand return once again 7 years later after the last time at WrestleMania 33 and win the SmackDown Tag Team belts? But I could really see DIY. I don't see them winning. I think they're on Raw still. New Day's just kind of there to be the New Day. They're great. I could see New Catch Republic winning the SmackDown Tag Team belts. So I'm going to have New Catch Republic for SmackDown. I'm going to have the Awesome Truth for the Raw Tag Team belts. And the Judgment Day is going to absolutely implode in this match. And I think that's going to lead, you guys finally happy? It's going to lead to something that happens maybe night 2 of WrestleMania. Speaking of, are you guys happy? to that one friend of mine in the comments who said, how do you think Jimmy Uso is going to beat Jey Uso? The whole story's been leading to Jey Uso destroying Jimmy Uso. Bro, I said Jey was going to win in my last prediction video, and you're almost making me want to say that Jimmy's going to win just to spite you, but I still think Jimmy's going to lose. I think it could go either way. And the reason I said Jimmy could win last time was because we've seen matches like this, right? We saw AJ versus Jericho at WrestleMania 32. I still remember that, seeing that live, and it hurt me to my very core. We've seen matches at WrestleMania nearly every year where it's very clear one guy's going to win. Cody last year, and then at the very end, everything gets shifted the other direction and they lose. So while I don't think that's going to happen with Jey versus Jimmy, I think it could. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Jay's story of being cost all of these titles and all these opportunities by his brother is going to be the reason that he does defeat Jimmy. I think Solo will be involved in some way. Obviously, he'll also be involved in Bloodline Rules, which we'll get to later. But I do have Jey winning the War of the Usos between him and Jimmy. Y'all, I called this match. You go back and watch my missing matches predictions for WrestleMania 40. I called this match happening, and I got to give myself a DIY pat in the back. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi against Damage Control's Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. Now, with this match, I just think Jade Cargill, there's no way she loses at WrestleMania, right? It's technically also like her first real match after signing with SmackDown. I do think that we might see a heel turn from Bianca Belair, because if Jade Cargill gets the win for her team, especially after Bianca does all the hard work, there might be a little spite that comes out of that, and that's a great first feud for Bianca versus Jade Cargill if Bianca doesn't just go for the WWE Women's Championship, which I will get to that on night 2. But I do think we're going to see Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill just steamroll through Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. I think, honestly, this is probably the easiest match for me to predict of all of them. Easy choice for me, but don't be surprised if we get a little heel turn swerve at the end of the match. Also, I almost predicted this match, but on night 1, they're also doing LWO, Rey Mysterio, and Dragon Lee. That's where I got it wrong. I thought it would have been Andrade because they're wrestling against Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. But the issue is that I thought Andrade, because he was involved with the Judgment Day storyline and loves Rey Mysterio, the Lucha legend, and they've had some great wars in the past, he would team up with him. That's not the case. It's going to be Dragon Lee. I think this is where Dom gets his win back against Rey. I think we're going to see Dom and Santos get the win, and I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. I don't think it's going to be clean, right? Like, I think LWO and Berto and Angel and all those guys will get involved. But at the end of the day, I do think we're going to see maybe Andrade takes out Rey, and that's how Dom gets the win. But I do see Dom pinning Rey, so now it's evened up 1 apiece, and then we work our way to a hair versus mask match down the road between Dirty Dom and Rey, so that Dom can be the one to retire his dad, because I really think that's what Rey wants in his heart of hearts. So I've got Dom and Santos to win. And then the tag team match to end all tag team matches. The great one, the final boss, The Rock, and the Tribal Chief, the WWE Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, against the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins, in the American Nightmare, the back-to-back Royal Rumble winner in 2023 and 2024, Cody Rhodes. I made this prediction last time. I'm going to make it this time, but I'm going to be a little more specific with you. Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins are losing, and there's no way you can convince me that they should win or that they will win. Not only that, I'm going to tell you who's going to pin who. The Rock is going to pin Cody Rhodes, because the whole story is about Cody and The Rock. It's not about Roman right now. Night 1 is about Cody and The Rock and the disrespect that The Rock has shown to Cody Rhodes and to his family through this whole thing. Man, I feel like I'm in a promo right now, but listen to me. When I tell you that I've never been so sure of anything in my entire life, is that regardless if Seth is involved, regardless if the bloodline's involved, regardless if it's clean, The Rock picks up the win for his team by pinning the American Nightmare at the end of the night, which means for night 2, we get Bloodline Rules. Whew, I feel like I got myself worked up there. So night 2, let's talk about Seth freaking Rollins defending that World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is on the run of his life, man. This character, this heel work by Drew McIntyre, I love it. I'm a huge Drew Mac fan, always have been, even since the early days of He Who Shall Not Be Named, calling him the Chosen One. Even before that, when he was True Galloway at ICW and all of these other promotions, I think Drew McIntyre, I really want him to win. And this is the one that I feel least confident in, is Drew McIntyre winning that World Heavyweight Championship, because who's waiting in the wings but Damian Priest with Money in the Bank? And wouldn't it just make sense for them to just have Seth beat Drew again? I've heard that Drew hasn't re-signed a contract, which you can't take those things into effect, right? Like Punk hadn't re-signed at Money in the Bank 2011 until right before the pay-per-view started. And so I think, honestly, I'm going to say, I'm going to go Drew McIntyre. Am I? I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. Dang it. Okay. I'm going to go, you all convinced me. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. He's going to win some kind of war. And then, no, he's not. Drew McIntyre is going to win. And Damian Priest is not going to cash in. Oh, is he? Okay, I'm having an internal conflict right now, guys. Drew McIntyre is going to win. Damian Priest is going to try to cash in, but he's not going to be able to. We're going to save the cash in. They're going to make it look like it's a heist of the century redo on the guy who initiated the heist of the century. Or it'll turn to a triple threat, and Drew McIntyre pins Damian Priest. That could happen as well. My official prediction, and I'm sticking with it, Drew McIntyre wins the World Heavyweight Championship from Seth Rollins. So we talked about Naomi, Jade, and Bianca against Damage Control, and Damage Control losing on night 1. I also think Damage Control loses on night 2. This is another one I'm not as confident in. I'm not as confident as this as I am with the Rhea and Becky match, but I do think that Bayley has had a great turnaround in terms of her character, a nice face turn, and I do think her winning the Royal Rumble was the right call. I think the story's been great. It's been very simple, right? It's very Evolution-esque with Batista and Triple H 19 years ago, but it doesn't have to be anything new. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to make it complicated. I think that Bayley is the right person to take the title off of Io Sky. I think it needs to happen, and that's my pick, is Bayley winning in an epic contest with a lot of high-flying moves. I think we're going to see the Bayley to Belly come back. I think she's going to be done with the Rose Plant, which I think will be a really good moment to really solidify, like, this is Bayley as a face. She doesn't have to be like the kid-friendly face. She could just be the herself kind of face. But at the end of the day, I see Bayley winning it with Bayley to Belly, maybe off the top, which would be awesome, and becoming the new WWE Women's Champion. All right, you knew it was coming. We got LA Knight versus the phenomenal one, kind of lone wolf back in the TNA era, towards the end of his career there, AJ Styles. Man, this story's actually been really good, and it could have been really trashy and not great, but they've built it up to make it really interesting and really exciting over the last few weeks. I don't care how you feel about it, like the whole home invasion storyline from LA Knight, who's the babyface, like invading AJ's home. AJ flying all the way over to Perth to cost LA Knight in the Elimination Chamber just because he's that petty that he would fly all the way across the world to stop him from becoming the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. I think LA Knight has to win this match. I love AJ Styles. AJ Styles is my second favorite wrestler of all time, and I'm telling you right now, LA Knight needs to win this match. He's not in the title match with Logan Paul or Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and that frustrates me. It should have been LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the U.S. title. If you can't do that, this match is a fine consolation, but he has to win, and we need to start working towards Logan Paul versus LA Knight down the road, potentially at SummerSlam. Speaking of that United States Championship, and speaking of Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, yeah, it's got to be Logan Paul. Like, I think that's kind of where the triple threat makes a lot of sense, and I think the story has just told us it's going to be Logan Paul. Randy and Kevin keep getting the upper hand on Logan. I know Pretty Deadly just beat them very recently, but at the same time, I think that with, Randy laying out KSI, Logan having the Prime Bottle branding on the ring, and it will be that way at WrestleMania, I think that Logan Paul gets enough eyes on the product that they're not comfortable to take away the title just yet. And also, I think we haven't resolved the storyline between Logan Paul and LA Knight that was started a little while back during Money in the Bank last year. I think we're going to resolve that potentially Money in the Bank or SummerSlam this year. So I absolutely see, without a shadow of a doubt, this is also one of those that I feel most confident in. Logan Paul retains the United States Championship against Owens and Orton. Also, I should work for WWE because I just know what they're thinking. I also called the Pride versus, what are they, the Final Testament? Karrion Kross, Azar Rakim versus Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins. I called this match happening in one way or another, whether Scarlett and B-Fab were involved or it's a six-man tag. It's going to be a Philadelphia street fight, whatever that means. Probably just like a normal street fight with no tags. It's just get in there and beat each other up. This is probably the match I'm least excited for. I would honestly probably have Last Testament go over just to give Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain some credibility. But also, Angelo Dawkins just had a loss. People love Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I think that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are going to win because it's a feel-good moment, and also because Bobby missed his WrestleMania moment last year. He was going to wrestle Bray Wyatt, which is great, but I think Bray probably would have beat him. So this gives him kind of a make good after missing WrestleMania last year. He did win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but I still think that this is kind of their way of saying, like, we appreciate you, Bobby. Let's give you a win on a big stage. And so I have the Pride winning whatever this six-man tag is. All right, guys, last time, before we get into the main event, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure that you comment down below your predictions for WrestleMania 40. Roman Reigns defending the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship against Cody Rhodes in a Bloodlines rule match. Cody's got to win. I said it a few weeks ago, and I'll say it again. My early predictions, I said, I really can't see any other way this plays out than Cody defeating Roman at this point. And I said Roman could hold on to the title, and we could see that title be won by Cody down the road, no pun intended, when an MSG show comes around, kind of to commemorate like 40 plus years since his dad had held the belt, you know? I think this is the grandest stage. I think the story has been expertly told. This is one of those situations where you can't repeat history. That match they had last year was so freaking good, and the only reason it's not held in high regard like some of the other great WrestleMania matches and greatest title matches in history is because of the ending, because it was deflating. Cody Rhodes, very, very recently to this video being recorded, had released an interview where he said he didn't know he was going to lose the match until during the match. And so I think what we're going to see is the original plan, which was Cody defeating Roman this year. I think it's actually made the story better that Roman won. At that time, I was not happy about it. But hindsight's 2020. The story to get to this point has not been great. But from Royal Rumble to now has been perfect, especially bringing The Rock in. I don't care what you say. People say that The Rock has devalued the storyline. He has made it exponentially better. And I'm excited to see, spoiler, when The Rock faces Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. That's not a prediction, my friends. That's a spoiler. So Cody Rhodes is going to win the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. He's going to do it with some help from friends because we're going to have Solo Sikoa. We're going to have The Rock. We're going to have Jimmy Uso. We potentially have Seth Rollins. Maybe Drew McIntyre. I don't know. All get involved in this championship. Bloodlines rules. No DQ. I'll throw it all out the window. Matchup. So who comes in and who helps Cody Rhodes win the championship? We got Jay, right? Maybe you got Sammy. Maybe you got Kevin Owens. Maybe you've got The Undertaker. Maybe you've got John Cena, the greatest of all time. And maybe you've got the one man who has The Rock's number at WrestleMania. And yeah, The Rock beat him the last time they were there, but he doesn't have the winning record over him. The greatest rival in the history of The Rock's career, and that is Stone Cold Steve Austin. They alluded to this whenever The Rock took Cody Rhodes outside and beat him to a bloody pulp in front of a production truck that showed John Cena and Stone Cold on the truck. And so I think that wasn't accidental. That was very intentional. The storytelling here is perfect. And I think we're going to see those guys help Cody realize his dream and become the star of WWE, the face of WWE for the next decade. There you have it, guys. Those are my predictions for WrestleMania 40. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to, like one more time I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below your predictions for WrestleMania. And also, how hyped are you for the show? Guys, I've not been this hyped for WrestleMania in at least a year, but even before that, it's been a long time. Thank you so much, and I will see you very soon.